All right, in our continued discussion on defensive strategy, we're going to talk a little bit about a defensive plan that we can add into our regular defensive system. Now, our mainstay for our defensive system is the defensive drift or shift, where we all come up together, spacing the line out, never tackling back. And then we have our defensive blitz, which we'll tend to use more when we're defending inside our own 22 to force some errors, things like that. But there's also a defensive pattern we can use called a sprint defense. Now, the sprint defense is possibly good to use when the fly half and the inside center are giving us a little bit more of a problem than typical fly half and inside center. So what we have here is we have a ruck. We have a ruck set up over here. Attackers are in red, defenders are in blue. And at the ruck here we have the ball is going to get passed out to the fly half, and then there's the inside center. So our first two forwards after our posts and our monsters, our post monster, up in here we have and then we have our first two forwards. Usually it's a forward, it's probably a flanker. I mean, it could be a back. But what we'll do is, in this situation, is these guys will sprint as hard as they can, usually about 5 to 10 meters, to get up here to put pressure on the fly half and the inside center as that ball's getting out. And then what's extremely important is that the rest of the line has to maintain their continuity, all right, and then come up together behind at a slower pace. All right, so these guys are coming up here, they're bamming in them, they're getting up there early, they have a probability of making a good tackle. The ball may get out to the inside center, but again, probability of making a good tackle. But if for some reason the ball does get out, our line is coming up evenly using that togetherness and line cohesion that we work on. And again, it then turns into a shift or a drift, trying to push the ball to the outside. If anything happens in here with the pressure, if there's so much pressure going into the fly half and the ball ends up coming back into a player back here, our posts and our monsters should be coming up right in there to make any contact too. So it's another variation on a defensive plan. So we have our drift and we have our blitz, which are mainstays. But the shift defense, the sprint defense is useful because it can cause some major disruption over here between the 10 and the 11 on the attacking side. All right, so give that some thought, and hopefully we will be working that into practice sessions as well. All right, that's your defensive session for today. Short and sweet.